Shut up.
What is happening, friends of CCP Podcasting? Welcome to Beyond the Bell Live. I am Chris Page. It is a Tuesday afternoon, if I'm not. Oh, it's a Monday. I'm getting ahead of myself, guys. It's a holiday. That's why. It's a holiday week here in the States. Not sure about internationally, but it is a Monday. It means we got 4 days to get through to the weekend. We're coming off some great independent wrestling all over the world. It's a shame that I couldn't be there to catch it all. Again, guys, my name is Chris Page, and it is going to be a fantastic little show that we've got going on today with a great conversation coming in. But before we get there, it went down last weekend. It was Chapter 5 victory, and we have a new CCP Podcasting heavyweight champion in the form of Big Strong Mims. He came to Orlando and conquered. And as we are talking right now, the show is being produced. I will have it out this week for all of you to check out over on our YouTube platform at CCP Podcasting over on YouTube. But there again, no rest for the wicked and the weary, as they say. July is right around the corner, July 11th to be exact. Mims is back in the house in Orlando defending the CCP Podcasting Heavyweight Championship against the Victory Rumble winner, Baracco. Tickets are available, guys, at ccppodcasting.com. Use your promo code MIMS or Baracco. Get 10% off of your tickets. It is going to be a fun evening, and I cannot wait for you guys to see what we have planned and what is going to go down. I think there's about 8 or 9 matches on the card. Some tremendous talents from here in Florida, as well as all over the United States, flocking this way to check out what we've got going on and to participate in this massive event that's going down on the 11th. It's going to be a fun time. First of all, let me go over to chat. Shout out to Paul. I see you. Goth, I see you. Guys, if you're loading in and you have any questions throughout the course of our conversation today, feel free to drop them in the chat, and I will get to them as soon as I possibly can. I am super excited to have this conversation. I've seen this guy over on the UK scene. I think, to be perfectly fair, I think he came across my screen about 8 or 9 months ago. But there was something there, and it was in the form of a clip, to be perfectly fair. And it was the character work that I saw in the clip. And as our relationship with Adam over at Hitting the Turnbuckles grew, I didn't realize that there was a connection there. Not going to lie, I don't ask for a lot of help when it comes to getting people on our show. I did hit up Adam and say, hey, man, if you could put a word, just let me know. Let him know to hit me up. Adam did, and our guest today did as well. Our conversation is going to be fantastic. He is over on the UK scene. I saw him through Ignite Wrestling, but I know that there are some other things that are going on with him that we're going to learn about right here today within the confines of this conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Beyond the Bell Live, Mr. Jaden Williams. How are you, sir?
What's good? I'm doing really well. How are you doing? Doing well?
I'm doing the best I can with what I got. I thought it was a Tuesday, and apparently it's a Monday. But it's because I rarely do Beyond the Bells on Monday. I'm usually at work, and then we've got other programming on Monday nights. So you threw me for a loop, Jaden. Outside of that, I'm doing fine, man. How are you? I know you're in the midst of a heat wave.
Yeah, it's burning. It's burning hot. Everything's burning. Everything's getting hot. The grass is going yellow. It's just, yeah, everyone's sweating, shirtless, name it. Pubs everywhere full. Buses sweating. Trains are saunas. Terrible.
Rough.
But we'll make it through.
It's rough. I told you before we came on the air, I realized that there was a heat wave via one of my co-hosts who showed up for a show yesterday, completely shaven, and I haven't seen him shaven in a year and a half to 2 years. And I was like, who the fuck are you, and where's Paul? Because this ain't it. But legit, that's exactly what he said. He was like, man, it is hot. Like, that's it. It is hot over there. It says over in chat, Goth is saying, welcome to the sweaty zone. We've got Paul actually here saying, welcome to CCP Podcasting. Good to see you guys. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in chat. Jaden, I'm excited, man, to have this conversation with you because a piece of what our platform is all about is that next generation and the younger generation. I'm in my mid 40s. I was on the scene in 99 through 06. Man, there's something different about what's going on out there now versus when I was coming into the scene, and that younger generation is what's going to be carrying us for the next several decades. And seeing you work and seeing the character work that comes along with it tells me that we're going to be in really good hands, especially when the right people see what you've got going on. But before we get into the hows and the whys of professional wrestling, man, I want to start at the top. let's start at fandom. I like to know what draws people in. I've heard video games, I've heard family, I've heard it all, but everybody's story getting into it and what leads them to wrestling is a little bit different. Where's is yours? Where does it intersect with you?
Well, I'd say it all started with a PS3 when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
I'm the oldest child in my family, and so mum was quite young. So I just remember when I was 6 years old, mums, when they're new, they don't really know what to get their kids. So at 6 years old, mum's just like, here's a PlayStation, here's some games, go enjoy it, whatever, go fuck yourself, do whatever. So there I am. I got like a whole load of games, and one of the games I had was X-Men Origins Wolverine, which was like an 18. Now I'm playing it on the big screen in the living room. And I remember my mum walking in one day, just looking at the TV, just like, you shouldn't be playing this. This is not for you. You should. Why is this on? This is an 18. Like she didn't buy the game for me or something. So she had to go through and find a way to switch out the game so I can get something different. And I swapped it out for a game called Legends of WrestleMania.
Okay.
It's like I didn't know what it was, but I was like, okay, wrestlers. I don't know what this is, but that's where I first heard of wrestling and WrestleMania. And it was just like, I think it was just like the first 15 WrestleManias to like the oldest wrestling matches. I think one of the main ones that came up obviously was like Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. It shows you like the full match and stuff, and then you get to play it on the PlayStation. You get to relive the stories for like the first 15 Manias. So I was like, for some reason, like I just had like this knowledge of all the WrestleManias that happened way, way, way before my time. I had no idea what was going on in the current day of wrestling, but I was like, I like this shit. This is fun. And then after a while, I mean, I didn't even watch wrestling. I just played the game. It was fun. I like some of my favorite characters on there was like The Undertaker, because he had like the cool WrestleMania 14 outfit. Mr. Perfect, because it was perfect, and he just was really like arrogant and cool. Who else was that? I think The Rock and Stone Cold, because that game, that particular, I guess, mission, whatever, was like a no DQ, and that was the only one that was a no DQ. So I just, these were like the main kind of people I remember from wrestling. That's how it kind of started out. And then at some point, I just asked for another game. I'm like, oh, there was that network thing where you could like, if you get SmackDown versus Raw 2009, and then you can download some of the characters and put them onto this WrestleMania game, and vice versa. So I was like, please, let me have this, because I really want more characters. And so now I'm like having more characters, I'm seeing more stuff, and I'm like, you know what, is there a way to watch wrestling? And now I just like see what's on TV, Sky Sports back then. And it was just like, I think it was during the time of Rock and Cena, WrestleMania 28 season. So it was like the Road to WrestleMania then, and that's where I got introduced to, now Rock still wrestling, John Cena. I got introduced to my favorite wrestler, CM Punk, because he was on a random match on Raw. Chris Jericho, Undertaker, Triple H, and all that. Like, that's where it all started, and I'm just watching WrestleMania. Well, I'm trying to watch WrestleMania through YouTube highlights on my iPod, because my mum refused to pay to buy WrestleMania for me. Broke my heart, of course. So I'm just like trying to work my way through just watching wrestling like on the phone and stuff. And it was, I think from that point, wrestling became sort of a love-hate relationship, but most of it was dictated based on like the presence of CM Punk, because he was my favorite wrestler and was like the champion for 434 days. And he just spoke a lot. He said so much shit. He did so much shit. And then he lost to The Rock, and I got like upset. I was very disappointed. And then he didn't win it back. Then he left, and I'm like, right, wrestling's rubbish, turn it off. Then he comes back. I'm like, right, cool, back into it. Then he leaves in 2014. I'm like, great. And then the Shield also break up in 2014. I'm like, I fucking hate this. And also Undertaker's streak ended. I'm like, I hate everything. What's wrestling? Wrestling's gone down the gutter. It's shit. I don't want to watch it anymore. So I just took a flat out just break, and I'm like, right, fuck it. You know what? Wrestling can go. I was done with it. In that moment, I was done. And then in like 2016, so like, God, 10 years ago, I basically, wrestling just came back up. on my phone, and it was like a wrestler called AJ Styles made his WWE debut and got like a massive pop, and I'm like, oh, he must be. I've heard that name before, but AJ, isn't he the guy from the other company, TNA? So I'm now like, oh, okay. So I look up like other wrestling companies and where he was wrestling before, and that's where I discovered stuff like New Japan, TNA, Ring of Honor. I'm like, this guy is like the best wrestler in the world, and he's now in WWE. This is huge. And then obviously I became a huge fan of him, and he brought me back into wrestling, and wrestling became a little bit cool again. And I was like, great, because now I know there's more than just the WWE. There's like promotions all over the US, all over Japan, everywhere. I wasn't really thinking about the UK scene. I was more just thinking, oh, wicked. But there's more than one promotion. That was the one thing that kind of kept me on my toes. And then 2017, I discovered a wrestler called Kenny Omega, and I I heard about his match against Okada at Wrestle Kingdom 11, which got rated 6 stars by Dave Meltzer. I'm like, that's not the usual 5. What the fuck's happened there? So I'm like, I'm gonna give this match a watch, and I'm like blown out the fucking park. I'm like, right, okay, what's happening? This is beyond wrestling. This is fucking crazy. Like, there's more than WWE, and it's better. And I'm like, I need to look more into it. And then at that point, we find a way to somehow get to Will Ospreay, who, is now one of the best wrestlers in the world. But back then, he was just a small independent kid who just made Japan. And so I'm like, okay, who's this guy that's just come from Japan? He's one of us. He sounds like us. He talks like us. What's going on here? He's got the British flag. What's happening? Now I look into him, and then that's where I'm like, oh, there's a whole UK scene right around me, and I've been completely oblivious to this shit. And I'm like, okay, so there is a chance here. There is a chance to kind of, break out, and that's essentially how the wrestling fandom came about. Knowing there was a whole scene besides WWE, and that it grows to the point where it's literally like a half-hour drive away from me. And then the love and the hate wrestling, just it's always on and off. The pandemic era was terrible. I hated that. Then Cody Rhodes sort of brought me back into it because I'm like, oh, look, he was terrible in WWE. Then he came back, became one of the undeniable. 2024, peak year of wrestling, peak year of WWE, cinema, Renaissance era. I don't know what they call it. And as it stands now, the wrestling, like WWE mainly, is a little on the fence. I don't know what they're doing right now. But I mean, again, my favorite wrestler, Punk, is gone again on a break. Well deserved, but I'm just like, he made me want to watch it, and now it's like he's not there, and I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening with WWE. A gingerbread man coming out of coffin. I don't know anymore. Stuff's happening. It doesn't click. I don't know what's going on.
It's not just you. It's not just you. I promise.
I'm like, what are we doing? I'm just like, okay, so we have Travis Scott, and then he went. Now we got Speed, and we got Lil Yachty. I'm like, what are we doing? I just don't get it anymore. And then, as for AEW, I do kind of. I'm not as like a strong a fan of AEW, but that doesn't mean I won't watch it. Like, there are some matches from AEW that were fucking excellent, like Ospreay, Kenny Omega, Forbidden Door, Ospreay, Bryan Danielson, which was one of the best matches ever. I think, Swerve Strickland and Bryan Danielson, that was a fucking beautiful match as well. Punk and Samoa Joe, of course, but that's what I mean. But I'm not as big a fan as I am WWE. But I think, considering how WWE / PKO is going right now, we might have to start making some adjustments here.
Well, let me tell you something. You said a lot there that just hit me in the feels. So the first thing that I want to touch on is your mother walking in, catching you playing an 18 and over game. And what was hilarious about that is it's not like you didn't buy it for me. It's a very similar situation happened to me back in the day, except it wasn't a wrestling game. My mom went and bought me the first Snoop Dogg cassette tape. That's how far back we're going, Doggy Style. And I'm listening to Doggy Style at fucking 12, 11, something like that. And she walked in, heard some lyrics, and immediately took the tape. What she didn't realize is at that point in time in my life, I knew where she hid everything she took. So when she took it, I let it sit for a week or two, and I went and got it and started listening to it again. It's just hilarious because moms are naturally going to try and take care of us. But I told her the same thing. I said, "You bought it. Did you not see parental advisory on it right there on the fucking cassette tape? Like, did you not see that? Like, it's just right there." The other things that you touched on, you named my favorite wrestler, one of them of all time, and that's Mr. Perfect. I think Kurt Hennig, for just criminal that he was never the WWF champion back in the day. Fantastic worker, underrated as fuck. Of course, people give him his flowers now, but go back to the time frame when he was active in the WWE and prior to with the AWA. Like, that dude was just fantastic in every sense of the word. And then finally, I am a CM Punk guy. I used to get a lot of shit for being a CM Punk guy. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I love his work. I love how he can command an audience on a microphone, and I like how he can just hold everybody right there in the palm of his hand. That's power. That's what that is. That is being able to be a master of your craft, whether it's inside the ring or outside the ring. You're the puppet master, and he plays it so fucking well. Over on, oh yes, you see this in the chat. Goth, I was also annoyed at The Rock beating CM Punk too. I was as well. Because man, like I feel your energy with CM Punk. I don't think he got the due that he deserved his first run in the WWE, and that was like the one time that I was literally I was believing that he was gonna main event WrestleMania as the champion. Like, that was the year. And they took it the fuck away from me at the Royal Rumble. I didn't watch it again.
We talking 2014 Rumble. That pissed me off because we were at this point. My mum was actually giving in, and she was like, "I'll buy you the pay-per-views, and you can watch them with your friend." And so obviously, I had no spoilers besides like YouTube highlights, which was on my iPod, which would only last like 20 minutes before it just died instantly. So I get back from school. We bought the pay-per-view. We're watching the Royal Rumble. Punk's in at number 1. Okay, he makes it all the way to the final four. I'm like, this is it. This is it. He's gonna main event Mania. This is perfect. Then fucking Kane, for some reason, does his shit and puts him through a table. I'm like, okay, he's gonna get him back next. He's gonna get him back on Raw tomorrow. Just don't see him. It doesn't come back. And then Paul did the fake out, and I was like, yeah, it's done.
I don't blame him though. I don't blame him. I mean, this is the thing. Like, sometimes in wrestling, like, you got to stand your ground. Good, bad, or indifferent. It comes to everybody at some point. It came to me in my career, in early 2001. Nope. I don't say no to a lot, but I'll say no to that because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Just there's stuff there. So like, and then when Punk disappeared and when he came back to AEW, I made a point. I don't watch a lot of AEW. Even then, didn't watch a lot of AEW. It's just not my flavor of ice cream. But I damn sure tuned in night one. I was one of the well over 1 million people who were watching to see what he had to say when he walked out on Collision. And it gave me goosebumps. That's how deep I was.
Literally, at that point, I was like so off of wrestling. And then when I heard the rumors that he was coming back, I was like, okay, I'll have a little watch of that. And I'm seeing people crying. I'm like, I get it. He's alive. He's well. He looks good. He looks great. And like with the UFC stint, obviously, he like really slimmed out. So it's like, oh, this is, we don't know what we're expecting here. And then, again, I was kind of off on these matches, and I heard about him basically beating people up, and then obviously the whole NDA stuff, and then I heard him like beating up Jack Perry. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? He's making me watch AEW. That's the plus side here, right? He's making me watch this stuff. So absolutely. I guess okay.
I even to this day, man, I don't watch a lot of the mainstream. I read about it, right? Like, I read the sheets and I read my what I want to know and go through that. But we're focused on the independent scene, and it is solely because there's so much more good shit going on across the world than there is on national television. You just gotta find it, and when you find it, you gotta hold on to it because it's so gratifying and it's so good. And it leads me to like steering away from fandom. What made you decide to give this a shot, and how did you come into a training facility? What does that look like for you?
So again, my mum is the main dictator here. I just had to get past her and just let her just please, basically just going up to her every single day after school. Please, look, there's a wrestling school there. It's good. Mum's like, no. And my mum used to be one of them, like, I wouldn't say fearmonger, but she used to like send me articles on phones about like people dying from heart attacks as wrestlers. I'm like, what? Like, it's like I'd be getting some random article just like, oh yeah, wrestler died of heart attack, age 26. I'm like, what the fuck does this have to do with anything? I want to wrestle. I get what wrestlers do. I've been a bigger fan than you are. I understand. If you take the wrong path, and yeah, some things happen, and much like any kind of profession in this world, it's very spontaneous. You don't know what can happen. I work in hospitality. For all you know, something could happen there, and it's like that's it. Like the world is considering pandemic as well. The world's completely unpredictable. So being sent articles like that to scare me at 14 wasn't really going to do much for me. But it was just eventually getting to, and I'm like, okay, look, Mum, there's a school like a 15-minute drive away. You have a car. I don't. You can drive. I don't. It's only like £10 a week. Please take me to the school. And it was a school called LDM Wrestling. They're a small little promotion in the UK. They kind of go around here everywhere, right? And they just had a school like 15 minutes from where I live. So Mum's like, all right, cool. Fuck it, let's go. Let's see if you enjoy it. So, I go there. It was like the school was like it was in a sports hall. There wasn't actually a ring. It was just like gym mats and that's it, gym mats and gymnastic beams and stuff. And you kind of be jumping off of that onto crash mats, and that'd be kind of the wrestling. But the thing is, it's because I was 14. I was in the kids class, which basically went up to like 16, and I was the oldest person there. So within my first session, I was not only the oldest, I was the tallest and I was the biggest, because most of the other kids there were basically like 10 and 12. And it was just like, okay, well, this is not going to work well. But after the main fundamentals of locking up and rolls and bumps and stuff, I was like, I need to go somewhere else. I need to find something else to do. And then I came across a school in Purfleet called DKW, which formerly known as Dropkicks Wrestling. Which brought up quite a few of the legends like, Stu Bennett, Elton Prince and such. And so I was like, okay, cool. That's near. Take me there. And she was like, okay, cool. Let's see if you like it. Let's see if you enjoy it. So I go there. I just start training there as much as I can. Just literally just keep myself like as much as I can. I'm just trying to train and just trying to convince my mum, look, I can do it, and I'm gonna be great. I'm gonna do well. I'm just gonna keep going at it. And my mum kind of gave in, and she was like, okay, cool, all right. It seems like you're doing well. Seems like you're doing great. Just as long as you don't ruin your studies and all that shit. And it's like, okay, cool. Sounds fairly simple. I'm in school. I only do this like once a week. It's very unlikely I'll go on to wrestling shows before I finish school, and then fast forward, I end up in shows before school ends, and it's just like because I managed to develop a close network, a close bond with Lucas Jackson, who's the current promoter of DKW, and I was able to help him find a venue for his shows, and it just happened to be at my secondary school, which is just down the road. So he said if I could help him get to school, I could make a debut there. And I'm like, sweet, that's wicked. So I helped him get the venue. And then before I knew it, I ended up having my first match like after school on a Friday. And that's where it all began. Like the date was 29th of June, 2018. And that was the beginning of everything.
Dude, you keep hitting me in the gut with little bitty things here. 'Cause this is crazy. We have never spoken before outside of DM. You don't know my story. You don't know anything about it. When I got in, I was 17, and I started training at 16. Which, fun fact, in the States and where I lived at the time, you had to be 18. So I can say this because statute of limitations have passed. Forged a document so that I could train. I debuted at my fucking high school at a matinee show because I said, hey guys, is this worth trying for y'all? So we did 2 shows that night. I was under a mask. I debuted in front of my high school. I wrestled the main event of that night under the mask at my high school. Of course, I got beat, but it's not the point. I wrestled in front of my high school, and you're telling me that your debut took place at your primary school, which is fucking crazy. Get out of my fucking life, bro. Like, stop. Well, when it came to training, let me ask you these questions because I find these could be really interesting for me. Strengths and weaknesses. You know, not having the ring to bump in, right? Like, and to be perfectly fair, guys, if you're watching, if you're live or you're checking us out on replay, this is not uncustomary. Like, we have a lot. You know, Portugal is an example. They've got some training schools and they train on mats. This is not. There are places that you do train strictly on a mat. And you don't touch a ring until you're out and you're ready to go. What were some of your strengths and weaknesses? What, you know, stuff that came naturally to you, but then again, stuff that you had to work on?
My main strength was my durability. Because I was young and stubborn, I was very durable. And because, again, we had no mat, we had no ring. So most sessions would normally be on a mat, like judo mats and stuff. So like we're basically like, we're bumping on the mat, and then underneath that, it's just floor. It's just concrete. And I know nowadays there are a lot more schools now compared to when I started out, and they all have rings, and most of them have rings and stuff. So it's very, very rare now to go to a school in 2026 and not have a ring. So now the places that don't have rings don't really get as much love, and they're sort of stigmatized, and it's like, oh, well, we don't know, we don't really, you know, there's no ring, what are we meant to do? And it's like, personally, in my opinion, I think it's better to learn without a ring, because one of the main things that Lucas used to tell me was like positioning, which is kind of ideal. But the other thing is durability, because if you can bump on judo mats, you can basically bump on the floor in matches. And it sounds like obscene, but like considering how like stern the bump is on the floor, if you can do that and tolerate it, when you get into a ring and bump, you're basically bumping on the equivalent of a trampoline. So once I did start to get into a ring, I could literally just go ahead and just like bump like crazy and do all these silly little rolls and bumps, because my body had already been through hell going through like basically the floor. So it's like, okay, so now I'm in a ring. I could bump more crazy than anyone, and I'm not thinking to myself, oh, what if I hurt myself? Doesn't matter. I hurt myself on the floor. It's great. So I was really durable. I think that was the one thing. I was really durable. And I also had a decent memory. So, you know, getting matches together was great. The weakness of that, though, was that because of my memory and because I wanted to get matches together, when I started out, I wanted to do everything, because I went in with that Will Ospreay mindset of like, I could do somersaults, I can flip, so I can do flippy stuff, I can do this here, and it didn't make sense. And back then, as a Will Ospreay kid, it was very, very rare. Like nowadays, everyone be like Ospreay. I understand, but like back when I was about, like Ospreay just made it into Japan. So I feel like the term being an Ospreay kid, Ospreay like inspired wrestlers, like it was very different, like very new back then. So I wanted to do so much, and I would always be talked down a lot because, again, stubborn, and I'm an idiot, and I would always be talked down. It's like, you can't do this, like you shouldn't be doing this, right? Like, you're young, you don't need to be doing these kind of moves at this age, because you want to go on to the age you are now and further. You ain't going to be able to do that if you're doing stupid moves like this and shows this small. Like, so I used to get talked down a lot in training because of the fact that I was willing to put myself on the line in front of like numbers as small as like, you know, 10 or 20 and stuff. So that was the main weakness. And then also, I think it was, and also impatience. Impatience was a big weakness when I was younger, because I just let me rest my school. Let me just fucking wrestle, please. You know, it was just the impatience was coming in, and that was a really big weakness, because that even though I was like only 15, it got me fairly disliked by quite a bit of the UK scene. Not a big chunk, but like the people who I was working with on shows in my first year, like, you know, I developed something of like, you know, just a bit too much arrogance, just because I was stubborn and I really was just impatient, and I wanted to be at the top, but I was trying to like bite off more than I could chew. So it became a problem. back then. But then I grew up out of that, and I'd like to think I grew up out of that. And I learned like a valuable lesson. Like I got humbled very, very quickly, and that was the main weakness.
Well, it happens to all of us, right? Like
Yeah.
mine was, I'll be honest with you, I've told the story many a times. I got chewed up and spit out by the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. We were working with them for 2 weeks. I was on a loop with them, and this is 2000, late 2000, early 2001, and same mentality. I was never going to be the biggest guy. I was never going to be the strongest guy. I could talk, and I could talk well, and that's where I've separated myself. It's how I became at 17, 18 years old, one of the top guys in our promotion, and we toured. It wasn't just in one state. We were touring 7 states a week. Every night, every day we were it was almost like a Monday in Alabama, a Tuesday in Georgia, a Wednesday in Tennessee, so forth, so forth, so forth. I was in the right place at the right time. Night one, not so much did we even get back through the curtain, and Ricky Morton is scolding me like just like I had never. Motherfucker straight up said, "I will replace you," and I went, "Whoa, whoa, what happened here?" But it was because I was young and stupid. I wasn't listening. I wasn't paying attention. I thought I was, hot shit because I was getting to work with the Rock and Roll for 2 weeks, and
Did you ever have that thing where like you'd have like a big match that night, and you're like, okay, well, I don't need to do the ring. I don't need to take down the ring now. I'm pretty much,
No, see, I was never that guy. I would always be.
I was bad. I was bad for that. Well, I wasn't bad, but it was like if I was in like a main event sort of thing, I'd be like, okay, well, I don't need to. I'm only like 16 at this point. It's like I shouldn't be doing it then, nor now. But it's like back on the shows I was on, for someone who had less than 2 years experience, I had that like unfortunate like arrogance of like, oh, okay, if I wrestle the biggest match, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm too big shit. And then I also got like in trouble for that one day because someone noticed after a couple of shows I wasn't helping, and he literally like pulled me aside. He's like, I need to talk to you. And so he just like grabbed me outside the venue. He's like, listen, you can't be doing this because like you got to fucking pay your dues. You can have all these matches, but you're not there yet. You have to fucking pay your dues. And that put me on the spot. I'm like, okay, like I was scared shitless. I was like, okay, I get it. But that was the thing I had back then. But like
it never got there. Like I would always be the guy. Like I would always show up if call time was 3:00. I was always there at 2. And I'd always be one of the last guys to leave. But that's for me. It was more or less because like I fucking love wrestling. I love being in the building. I love the smell of the building. I don't like the smell of the locker room. Love the smell of the building though, and just being present and being there. Even if I was working Maine, I was probably out in the crowd watching the other guys because I always felt like my learning would never stop. I could see somebody do something, and I was also watching the crowd. I was seeing what was getting over and what wasn't getting over. And the thing about me was, you said you have a great memory, which is fan-fucking-tastic. I'm opposite. I can't remember shit. So being a heel, we call the matches, and I'd always have guys, I'm going to do this spot, this spot, this spot, this spot. No, the fuck you're not. We're going to listen to the crowd, and if it dictates it, we'll call it, and we'll do it. But I'm just not going to go in and say, yeah, we're going to run this to this to that. This will get us here. No. Let's listen. Let's play the crowd. Let's see what they want. What are they buying into tonight? Because what happens if they don't buy into it? You're gonna put me in a spot because at this point, the promoter's looking at me because I'm the one that's leading I'm the guy directing the ship, if you will. And if it comes back and it's shit, who do you think he's gonna come to? Is he gonna come to you? No, he's not. He's gonna come to me and he's gonna ask me, why did I fail? And that was not. I learned all that from the fucking Rock and Roll Express. It was when we fit the night 1 of that loop, chewed up and spit out. Night 2 of that loop, chewed up and spit out. By night 3, I got the tapes of night 1 and night 2, and I went and watched them because I was like, all right, man, if he's chewing me up twice back to back, once maybe you're playing a vet card. 2 times over the same shit, Let me see it. I watched it. I couldn't quite find it. I went to him day 4 with the tapes and said, here's night 1 and night 2. Watch them with me, point it out. That's what woke me the fuck up, because it was like there were moments where I was getting the heat. I didn't milk it. He was like, this is what I was trying to tell you. If you listen to me and you listen to what we're telling you, you could have gotten 10 times that if you would have slowed the fuck down, paced yourself a little bit differently. Just shit like that. Really having someone critique me is what broke it down to where it was fundamental enough for me to be like, all right, you're not just teaching me where I'm fucking up. You're teaching me to be a leader too. And the same token, because that was just the name of the game at that point. And of course, different times. We're going back 26 years. But it's just a different time and a different place. And we're trying to build people up and build up what we were doing at the time. And you can't do that if you're forcing everybody down. And to a degree, maybe that's what I was doing at that point in time too, because I thought I was hot shit at fucking 18 years old. The reality was I was just a dime a dozen, really, when you really look at the bigger picture. But it took that humbling experience to be like, yo, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. Maybe there is some shit that I can continue to learn and teach in the process. And that's where it all turned around for me. And for you being able to debut in front of your primary school, let's talk about that for just a minute, because, I mean, it's number one, got to be exciting to debut. It is. It always is. It's nervous. There's pacing back and forth if you were me, and vomiting in a garbage can before I walked out through the curtain, because I was in front of my high school too, and all I could think about was, God, I'm gonna fuck this up. Let's talk about your debut and doing it in front of your school.
It was fun because I legit, it was secondary school. So secondary school, kind of like it's high school. I think I've been trying to understand the American grading system. I think so. Secondary school from year 7 to 9 is the equivalent to middle school,
correct,
6th grade to 9th grade, and then high school is secondary school from like year 10 to 11, and then 6th form. It's confusing, but I'm there just like. I just finished school. I know I'm wrestling a match, right? I rehearsed it because I was nervous. I rehearsed it the week before at training. And I'm telling as many of my friends, like, I wasn't a poster boy back then. Probably ain't now. And then they basically just like, I'm just trying to tell everyone, oh, come on down. You might see something, I might be on it. You never know. So I'm trying to just tease everyone and tell them, come on down. And I got a few faces to pop down, I had all my family there, obviously, because they all knew I was going to be there. And it was just basically just telling everyone, trust me, it's going to be fun to watch. I believe I was I was match 4. I wasn't a main event. I was match 4 because I was a piss break match in that moment. I was told it by the promoter. I'm like, you're a piss break match. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
But I'm on the card.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was told at the time, and I was like, okay, cool, fair enough. And so I wrestled a wrestler called Jordan Saeed, who's doing some bits around the UK.
Tremendous. Now. Yep.
And it was literally just like an open challenge. So I just come on out and I accept the challenge. I just, start hot, getting all my flashy stuff in. I literally, within the first minute, I'd already hit a springboard moonsault to the outside. And that's where I know now I'm like, okay, I'm doing too much. Like, now looking back at it, a springboard moonsault 1 minute into my first match is too much, right? Like if I were to rearrange that, obviously I'd save it for later. But back then I was like, wicked, just get everything in, speed run, just doing everything. I'm not even thinking about, like, I'm just thinking the match in my head. There's nothing going on. It's literally just between myself and Jordan and the ring. There is nothing else going on right now. There's nothing. It's not a blur, but I'm barely thinking about like who these people are watching. I can hear them. I'm not thinking about them. And I had the whole like wrestling nerves. So obviously I'm like nervous, got the fucking butterflies in the stomach. Wrestling during the match, my mouth is going dry. I'm like, oh, fuck. And I'm like sweating. All I'm doing is just thinking, what's next? That's all that was going on in my head at the time. And I'm like, looking back at it, fuck it, it was a 8-minute match, and I did, what else did I do? I did a shooting star miss in the first match as well, and I remember climbing up the rope, and Jordan was wearing a lot of like body oil. So as I was climbing up the rope, and I felt my foot just slip, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like in my first match, I'm like, if I slip on the shooting star, I'm never wrestling again. But I got my foot right and I saved it. And I was like, okay, cool. But that's kind of how that match went. And then I just kind of went backstage. I said thank you. There wasn't monitors or anything, so no one really watched or nothing. I just try to take as much feedback as I can get. Most of it was mainly like the selling aspect and just trying to show out to the crowd. That was the main aspect. That's probably one of the main feedbacks that most debutants get. And I just remember at the end of it, just getting a picture with Jordan, us two shaking hands, and that was kind of how the debut went. And then the next day, for some reason, this hasn't happened since, by the way, but the next day after my debut, I was in a town called Barkingside, which is, again, not too far from where I live. And my mum was like, can you go in the shop, get something? I'm like, okay, cool. Go in the shop. And there's this guy that comes up to me. He's like, hey, were you on the show yesterday? I'm like, what show? The show at the school. I'm like, yeah, I was. You were? Oh, that's wicked, man. You were great and everything. You're brilliant. I'm like, oh, thank you. And that's never happened since. Like, never. I've never done a show and the next day someone's been like, oh, I remember you from... No one's ever done that to me. But for the first time having that match and then the next day having a fan interaction, my ego was going through the fucking roof.
We're creating a monster.
I'm the shit, and I've just started. That's literally just how the debut went. It was fucking brilliant.
Well, I promise you this: it's not going to be the last time people recognize you and know who you are, based off of what I've seen here presently, and what I continue to see coming from you and coming from the scene over there specifically. There's a lot of really good stuff going on, and I want to talk a little bit about the presentation. So I told you before we came on the air, maybe right when we came on the air and we got you in. I mean, I love the fucking arrogant, cocky heel that struts ass out through that curtain when you came out. I just finished Ignition 5, I want to say a week or so ago. And it was, I didn't know what to expect for a minute because I didn't know if you were going to be on babyface mode or if you were going to be on heel mode. But when you strutted out and fucking started giving it to the crowd a little bit, I went, this guy right here. Let's talk about the presentation of what we see, obviously from the debut to now, because the thing about professional wrestling, it's always evolving. The presentation is always evolving. So let's talk a little bit about that.
I'd say the main thing about it is one of the most key moments in my entire career wasn't even in my career, it was out of it. Because I wrestled from 2018 to 2020 and the pandemic hit. And I was just like, okay, well, it'll only be 3 weeks. It'll be fine. And then obviously it just didn't come back. And then at the time as well, it was 2020. So there was a huge speaking out movement in the UK. Mm-hmm. And I was only 17 at the time. So when I'm hearing all these names from the UK, and I'm just like, I feel really uncomfortable. That was basically it. I felt really uncomfortable. And I was like, okay, I don't know if I can. I felt a little weird. I didn't know how to really justify that to the wrestlers. So I just gave an Irish goodbye and I kind of just went about my life and just tried to, because at that point as well, I was also failing my my A levels. I was failing my college, I was like, okay, my grades are bad. Wrestling's down the gutter because there's not an entertainment industry because we're in the middle of an era where you can't even look up because there's social distancing. So it's just like, okay, well, wrestling's gonna have to just. At that point, I was 17, in that moment, I was done with wrestling because I was like, okay, well, wrestling's gone to shit. The UK scene's gone to shit. And it's very quiet now. And my grades are dog shit. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to just focus on my life and just enjoy my life. And I just basically spent the rest of the next 3-4 years just studying. And I went to university and I started with mathematics. But then I also have a love for drama and acting. So I was like, okay, cool. I like acting. There's a drama degree at my university. I'm going to switch. So I go ahead and switch to drama. And the thing is that everyone knew from the get-go I'm a really, really good actor. Because I just, again, playing villains and stuff, playing bad people, they're like, you are horrible. You are a bastard when you play, bad people. Genuinely. I've had, situations where I've been playing bad guys. I'm doing certain scenes where people are hiding away in the dressing room because they cannot watch because of how uncomfortable they get. It's all in the script. Don't worry, nothing's improvised here. But it's like the way I do it. It's like, okay, like you're doing it in such a way that it's genuinely uncomfortable. Like it's hard to watch. So I always used to get told at uni when I used to go parties and stuff like, oh, you have the face of an actor. Oh, you look like you could be a really good villain. And I'm like, what the fuck? You know, like I'm just trying to drink, have a good night here. But it's just I'm just trying to live my life and it's like doing acting. And again, I'm noticing like, you know, wrestling slowly taking a cinematic approach. And when I at some point at uni, I got to study abroad. So I went to California. I went to San Jose State just to study for like a semester in spring, and that's where like I had all the American privileges. I had like I had my loyalty card for like frozen yogurt place. I could get pizza on tap. I could you know, Peacock. That was the main one, Peacock Plus and all that. So like I literally could watch wrestling live in the moment, and that's the best thing about coming over to America was that I didn't have to like wait till 1 a.m. to watch. I could come out of my class and literally I'll just look at my phone. Oh, Raw's happened. It was that great because also it was Pacific Standard, so like I'm watching everything happen like in the afternoon. I'm like, this is the best. And as for WrestleMania, I was watching that in Hawaii because I was on spring break. So everyone's staying up till 7 p.m. or midnight to watch WrestleMania. I was watching WrestleMania at noon. I was watching WrestleMania at midday, like eating lunch in Hawaii, watching wrestling on my phone, walking across Waikiki. It was fantastic. But then that's where I wanted to get back into wrestling because I was like, okay, wrestling's really good now, and I'm in America. Wrestling's everywhere. I'm gonna go, right? It'd be rude not to, right? So I found a school that was only 3 miles away from where I was staying, a lucha school called Pro Wrestling Revolution. Literally just pretty much near San Jose, and I got in touch with them, and they're like, okay, we do like $200 a month. I'm like, okay, we're cool. I'll try and find that money. And I explained to them like, oh, I used to be a wrestler like a few years back. And they're like, okay, cool. We can put you up to the advance. I'm like, wicked, cool. That's awesome. So from that point, I'm just like, you know, I'm just learning how to get back into. I had it. I knew what I was doing. Like when my first bit of feedback after 4 years was to slow down, I was like, okay, I'm on the right track. So that was the same feedback I got when I started. I'm like, this is what we wanted. It's what we wanted. And I started really studying how Randy Orton wrestled. Because in terms of slowing down, Randy Orton, without a doubt, in my opinion, is one of the best wrestlers for slowing down and making moments count. You know, like his match with like Punk at Mania, obviously him and Punk, like watching his slow movements and stuff, and just taking in the camera, and he's just on that camera for like 2 minutes. It's like he's just sucked up the room just from facial expressions. You know, I don't really Orton do much promos, but in terms of facial expressions and like the emotion just showing in the face, it's like holy fuck. Because that for me, that was like, okay, cool. So wrestling isn't just moves. This is where wrestling emotion counts. Is where it really matters. You know, matches like Shawn Michaels and Taker, and most of Undertaker's like last few WrestleMania matches before his streak ended, them like moments where everything paused made me realize, okay, there's more to wrestling than moves. It's a presentation. So I got to do a couple of battle royals in San Jose for PWR, and you know, obviously there weren't really many cameras, so there wasn't really much presentation I could do. But that was enough to make me think, okay, I can go back to the UK and do this. So I got in touch with like Lucas from DKW, and I'm like, I'm ready to come back. I'm ready to come back. Let's do it. He was like, cool, we'll put you in the main event. After 4 years, he just like whacked me in the main event. I'm like, sweet, okay, cool, let's do it. And he gave me like a wrestler called Axel Woods for the main event title match. I'm like, this is, I don't even know if I'm nervous or anything. I'm like, this is my first match in 4 years. They put me in the main event. I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. And I just took all that I learned over the last 4 years, and I just tried to like put it in a character. Like I still very much was a Swift Sonic before I left wrestling. Like I used to be Supersonic, and I used to dress up as Sonic a lot. Then I got bullied on Facebook, so I stopped wearing the jacket, but I kept the name because I liked Sonic. But then I was like, everyone keeps calling themselves Super. I'm like, fuck, what can I do now? Swift. It just sounds better. I don't know. It sounds similar to Swerve, so I kind of got it off of that, but also Swift. Mm-hmm. You know, not a Swifty, but just it's Swift Sonic. It's like it's a random name. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. I was just thinking I just need a new name, and that was kind of what came up. And then when I came back to wrestling, everyone was like, "Oh, look, the Swift Sonic's back." I'm like, "Okay, it's stuck. Shit, right, cool. We're stuck with Swift Sonic. Let's go." And that's where I just kind of just took it in, and I'd learned like, okay, like as well as focusing on the wrestling, I'm now focusing on the cameras instead. So like rather than like just thinking about the moves and thinking about the opponent, this is where I'm using my theater experience. This is where I'm using like my acting experience, camera experience, and I'm putting that all into my wrestling. And I'm straight up just making sure that everything I do has a moment where I can kind of just interact with everybody. Because unlike my debut, I didn't have a million thoughts rushing into my head. My memory had gotten better, and it also, now that now I was a heel coming back, it's like I can now control the pace. So I can now be like, okay, so I don't need to rush into the next bit. I can just enjoy everything happening, and I can pick on people because it's fun and they look horrible and they look weird. I can pick on you. I can do stuff like that. And it's just like, you get a lot of big mouths, and I'm like, I'm gonna pick on you. And it's just, it made it so much easier to kind of be more like presenting, because it's like, okay, the crowd are making it easy. I can just kind of do this and that. And then I just started becoming more of a heel all around the UK, trying to regrow my name. And again, if I saw cameras, that's what's getting worked. That's what's getting worked to first, because the people who are going to be watching it on the internet are just as valuable as the people who are going to be watching it in person. So I have to find a way to make sure that they both get to enjoy an experience, one of which is in the moment and one of which is forever. So it just became a thing where it's like, okay. And the acting, again, like I bring it up a lot because the acting helped me be able to improv. So I can now just say stuff off the cuff without really thinking, although it has arguably got me in trouble a couple of times, because there are sometimes I say stuff in the moment and I'm thinking, this sounds wicked in my head. And then when I say it, it's like, I probably shouldn't have said that. But it made for a really good moment, and it got a great fucking reaction. I've said some really bad things, and mind you, I only really do family shows, so I shouldn't really be saying half the shit I do. I don't swear because I know better than to swear, and if I do, it's like no one notices except for the people in the ring. There's definitely been a worse thing I have said. I think the worst thing I've said was like a couple years ago at a DKW show in Westcliff. I was in a tag team match, and I'm just like, getting myself some water, because again, hot day like this one. And I just remember some kid just telling me, "Shut up, you!" And I'm like, I was just like, "Who said that? Who said that?" He's like, "Me." And then for some reason, I could have just said, "Shut up," back. But for some reason, what came out of my mouth was, "I hope your mum dies," and I just carried on back to the ring, like nothing happened. And I heard the entire crowd just gasp. And I'm like, okay. I wasn't thinking about it until the match finished. And I go backstage, and the rest is like, "Did you just tell someone's mum to die?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Was that bad? I asked a couple of people afterwards. I'm like, "Was this bad to say?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's too far. You shouldn't have said that." I'm like, "Okay." Learning curve here. Learning. Well, I'm still learning. I'm still learning. That's kind of where the evolution came along.
You took a question that I was going to ask away, but I do want to enhance on it if we could, because you did have the theater background. You swapped that, and I was going to ask, coming back onto the scene, that had to make things a little bit more comfortable for you, and you answered that by giving you the ability to ad lib as well. That was something that I was really good at. Really good at. And I think that was why I got over like I did while I was working, when I was working, because I could talk, but I could also, I grew up watching Whose Line Is It Anyway? And shit like that, where you have no choice but to ad lib on what you're saying and how you're saying it. Going from, the process of playing to the crowd to now playing to the camera. And I love that you said that, because with our live events here, I tell the guys who we bring in, or the guys that I book on the show, I'm different. I don't while I want a crowd, and I'm grateful for anybody who buys a ticket to come and watch us live when we're doing this, I'm playing to our platform, because our platform has a shitload of people who watch it from all over the world, promoters, talents, family members is what I call them. I don't call them fans of the channel or the platform. Family members, you name it. We've been able to move needles for guys, and we've been able to, and I tell them this is why. I'm like, because you guys don't know who I know. You don't know who's watching or why they're watching. And the biggest gratification that we've had so far came after our chapter 4, which was in April. And I got DMs from 4 or 5 companies here in the States that I do some work with. They had 6 names. All of them had the same 6 guys. It was unreal. And they literally was, can you put us in touch? Well, we can't do something right now. However, like, we want to work them into something down the line. And these are all in different states. So we got these, again, that's why I tell them, guys, play to the crowd. Absolutely. Give them their moment. But don't forget why you're here. Those cameras are there for a fucking reason. And they're here so that people can see you and hopefully give me that phone call that says, hey, put me in touch with so-and-so. Liked what I saw here. Want to do some business with them. When you came back, to get back to my question, with the theater background, with the acting background, and putting together the new presentation, coming back as the villain, all the pieces seem to be falling in place for a dude who has always liked the villains growing up, has always had this mindset of wanting to be the man. Now you've gotten that opportunity. Was that by design? Did you come back saying, I want to be a bad guy, I want to be the heel, I don't want to come back as the baby face? Or was it one of those situations to where we want you to go out here and try and get hated?
I very much was so positive with like the promoter. Like, I told him I 100% believe I could be a really, really good bad guy and get hated in my first match. And I can make first match back in 4 years. I guarantee you I can get some reaction from a crowd that will really get something going. And I can go as far as promos. And that's where it got even more interesting, because when I first faced Axel Woods in my first match back, I made sure to film endless promos to go after it, and I went as far as to like call out his family as well. I was like, look, I was here when your family used to come to the shows and stuff. They ain't forgot me. They know what I can do. And so I really used to just like try and like really dig down deep to try and make sure like I get it into his head, but also making the audience realize what a fucking dickhead. Like, you're going after someone's family. I wanted to make sure of that. And the funny thing is that his family were there on the merch table at the show, so I made sure to call them out during the match. I went as far as to see if they wanted to get really involved in the match, and so at some point I went as far as to go up to one of his oldest children and just fully berate her father in front of her, and go as far as like, I'm like, listen, your father is nothing. He's terrible. He's a disgrace. It got as far as me getting slapped. I was like, that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted that reaction from the crowd, and everyone was like, oh no, like, what happened? Oh my god, like, because now people are like really, now they're there, and I've got them in my hands. I'm like, okay, right, now they're invested. Now they want to see me lose. Now they want to see me like suffer and like get a taste of my own medicine or some shit like that. So obviously, first match back, I didn't win, but it was enough to basically make people be like, oh yes, like, he lost. Like that's what I really enjoy, like being able to make people believe, like, okay, well, cool, he's yeah.
It sounds like that's the moment that the switch flipped. It sounds like that you really, getting the time in the States, right? And learning a little bit of the style over here. And I don't want to pass on or make a pass on that time here, because the Lucha Wrestling Revolution, we've got friends there. So I'm very familiar with the product and very familiar with what goes on and how and some of the talents that they've produced, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I love the fact that you came over here and you got invested again, and I think that I think things happen for a reason, right? I'm a very that guy. I'm a guy who shouldn't be sitting here. I should have died 3 times, and the fact that I'm still here is kind of crazy, but it makes you really look deeper into things the whole way around. So if you wouldn't have come over to the States and wouldn't have gotten bitten by that bug again, like we don't know if there would be the rise of Jaden Williams that we are seeing now. And what's so great about it is, you've only been back for a couple of years, if that. That's really enough time to get the ball rolling and get that train rolling again. And you came across our screens through Ignite Wrestling, and to be fair, I watched your conversation with Adam on hitting the turnbuckles. I guess it was last year, late last year, or it could have been the beginning of this year. I don't remember exactly when it dropped. And I'd asked him then. I was like, "What's the story here?" Because I would like to think that over the last 2.5 years that we've really dove in deep into the independent wrestling scene on every continent. I think I'm a really good judge of people who got something, and seeing just clip work on social media, listening to the podcast that you had with Adam, and hearing how you spoke about a lot of different things. Even today, I've learned so much already. My gut is right. There's something here. And now that you're in the role of the villain, you've had a year and a half to 2 years to kind of fine tune things. And as they always fine tune when you switch stuff, you've gotten opportunities with other companies and other things. Let's chat a little bit about the last year and a half to 2 years. Some of the things that really stand out to you and resonate with you since you've come back to professional wrestling.
So I think the main things was like just getting them connections that I once did have and like making sure I could rebuild them. But then once people knew that I was coming back, like it made it easier to network, because I already had a lot of people, like big names like, Joe Lando, Danny Black. Like Joe Lando used to message me all the time to say, "Yo, you need to come back to wrestling. You need to come." I'm like, and I was so headstrong, being like, "No, I'm not gonna." But then, after a while, I was like, okay, cool. And then he introduced me to more people, because I would go to training in Woolwich to play fight. And I would basically just try and like network. He helped me network with people there. And again, a lot of people kind of knew who I was just based on like the old history. Like I remember first time meeting Amira Blair. And I remember just waiting outside play fight to go in. And she sees me and she's like, "Do I know you?" And I'm like, I don't think you do. And I just introduced myself, and she's like, "Oh yeah. Michael Oku talks about you. He remembers you." I'm like, "Oh, that's wicked." So I have a lot of people who still kind of familiar with like who I was, but it was just the main task was just kind of just making sure I can get back into not just people's mouths, but like I can get myself onto it, like people's eyesight, like people know I'm there, people know I'm wrestling stuff. And so once they knew that, that's where I started getting some more contacts. So I started making more debuts with more companies, and one company in particular was UKPW,
Yes.
which their camera work is insane, because they're most independent companies in the UK, you're more or less likely working to like one Roman cam, but like places like UKPW and also Ignite, you have options everywhere. You have options everywhere to play around. So I was like, cool, I'm gonna have fun here, right? I'm gonna really enjoy this. And I got to wrestle Tommy Tanner like in like one of his earlier matches, and I really just, my job again was just to make him look good, make him look like a star, and then also at the same time make myself look like a dickhead. And it worked, because people were just like, "Oh wow, he's horrible," and then they're like, "Oh, Tommy Tanner's amazing." Like that's all I try and do, just try and make sure that happens. And then again, more people saw that, and they're like, "Cool." You want like I started getting in touch with I started getting messages from Ignite because the promoter there, CJ Carter. I was meant to be at Ignite long before the pandemic, but we just never got round to getting the timing right. But then once we realized, okay, I'm still here, and Pro Wrestling Ignite's at its highest, that's where it's like, cool, we can find something here. And then that's where they brought me into the Breaking Point match with myself, Tommy Tanner, and Denzel Mack, the triple threat that some say is one of the better triple threat matches at Ignite. And for me, again, I'm just looking at cameras. I'm like, this is fun. There's a lot of cameras. I'm enjoying this, right? And it was also just like, I like to like make stuff blend. I like making like triple threats. I love because I just get to like integrate everyone's like style into one match and just make it make sense. And it just made it really cool because it just made everyone in that ring look like a star. And everyone just went off on me and they were like, yeah, you're a loser and stuff. Like, it was just creating the connections with the fans that I believe helped like elevate my success, because people are like invested in like, oh, they want to see me lose so badly. Because I think the one thing about like myself, the Swift Sonic, is that even though you want to hate me, good luck, because I'm very good at most of the moves. So you can hate me if you want, but just know, like, for a fact, I can do a lot more things that you can. You probably struggle to get out of bed. I can do a backflip. What can you do? You know, like that's the thing. It's like I could be a loser, but I could still be like the guy that's like, oh, he's good though. Fuck, he's good. You know, that's what I wanted, and it just worked up and up and up from there, to the point where it's just a lot more people are hearing of me. I'm getting more like recognition. More people are noticing me. Getting some Rev Pro names who are kind of like keeping an eye on me. A lot of people know, like, are starting to get used to me. And I think from this point, it's just kind of like just keeping my name out there and just hoping sooner or later more promotions start like, oh, okay, oh shit, you know, like, you know, start taking me in. But that's really how we go.
Well, I think that's just a matter of time, really, to be perfectly fair. I really do. I think that, for a guy who started in his teens and maybe didn't rub people the right way, that you've come back around. And as you know, I always say that maturity doesn't come with age, it comes with ownership of responsibilities. And you had a lot of time to mature. And now that people see the real you're not that 17, 16, 17, 18-year-old kid anymore. You've got experience, you've got some seasoning, you've put a package together that is very viable and it's believable, more importantly, because I don't feel like you're playing a character. You're not, Chronic Chris Page, as an example, was my character. CCP podcasting, that's what it stands for. My first gimmick was terrible and I ran it for a year, and then I didn't find the levels of success until I just kind of took that, threw it away, and just created Chris Page. And it's me. Like, it's just me. Am I witty? Am I sarcastic? Yeah, I can be, and I am. But that was where I found those levels of success. And it seems like now you're really making those moves and you're showing people versus telling them, like, this is why you should book me. Something that you just said a second ago that I don't hear a whole lot of people talk about, and I'm fucking ecstatic that you did, was talking about the floor cams and how many roving cams are out there. When we run a live event, I have been told that I run too many cameras, and I said there's no such thing, because you got to find the best angle. You got to find the best shot. You got to do all of this stuff for not just for your overall product, but for the guys and girls that are participating on that product. You have to make them look larger than life. You have to give, and that can come. I may use 3 minutes of an hour or 2 hours of footage on a camera, but those 3 minutes are going to fucking matter. They're going to, in the overall presentation of what we're trying to build. And the fact that you acknowledge the fact and you play into the cameras that are there, especially when you've got multiple to go with, I love hearing that, because not a lot of people think about it. Not a lot of people put a whole lot of thought into, let me find a camera. Let me find a camera. As a matter of fact, I'll take it a little bit further. We ran our first live event. We had a guy on the show. It was the only kid, the only guy, in a locker room full of veterans to new to green as goose shit. the only kid to find a camera after his match and to cut just a 10-second promo. 10 seconds of just talking shit about why he just won this match and then got out of the ring and left. And I went, dude, that again, you either have it or you don't. And in the fact that you've got that theater training and you've got that background behind you now, I feel like that is going to be a huge thing for you moving forward, because it already puts you a step ahead of those that are just, they're wrestling. They're here to wrestle. But at the end of the day, it's a bigger ball game than just what's going on bell to bell in the ring. There's so much more to it, and you're smartened up to it now. And I think that shit is insane, because you are in your mid 20s at this point. It's mid to what, 27, 26, 23. Oh, I'm way the fuck ahead. You're early 20s, and to see that coming in now, that even makes it that much scarier. So here's a mind-blowing fact for you, and I say this when I see shit like this now. Like the longevity of professional wrestling is vast now. It's not like in my day. We didn't take care of ourselves like a lot of guys do now. You're 23 and you've already started honing in on this and really figuring this thing out. With the level the guys take care of themselves today, your prime isn't until your late 30s, early 40s. And that's not the mind-blowing fact. Here's the mind-blowing fact: is with as good as you are now, if you hang in there and you continue to grow, how fucking good are you going to be in the next 3 to 5? You still got a decade before you hit your prime, by the way. So that's the scary thing. And that's why I say the younger generation is the people that we got to invest in. We have to. You guys are the ones that are going to be carrying this thing for the next several decades, whether it's on television or it's in your own local markets. You guys are the ones that are going to be out there doing it. And with BritWres, it is on such a come up and has been. I know that during the pandemic, there was the speak out movement, but at the end of the day, the scene has bounced back and it is stronger than it has ever been. In my opinion, from an outsider who does watch a lot of the scene, I think that as a whole, independent wrestling is in a place now that it's filled with opportunity. It's filled with just so much unlimited potential for what you can do. You don't have to sign a contract to make a fucking living in professional wrestling now. And that is what separates. And that is what is the difference from my generation to now. And when I see guys like you who, you made some decisions, you got out, you finished your education, you got that squared away. So you've got plenty of stuff to fall back on, and you have plenty of stuff that is going to set yourself up for the future in the event that this doesn't work out. However, I don't think it's a if. I think it's going to work out, because this phone is about to start ringing. I look at your match at Ignite 5, and you were in there against a guy who was a former champion. I think it was the longest reigning champion at that time. You did some tremendous work there. I'm a little pissed that you didn't get the win, but that doesn't do me any good over here in the States. But it was still a great match. Now, what are some other stuff? And if you want to talk about some companies that you are doing some work with, anything that you could throw out there over, that we can chat about. Because I know with these conversations, there's always new companies. There's always new places that I haven't heard of. And for me, it makes me dive deeper.
I think the main one for me, I mean, I obviously started off DKW. I've still been around ever since like 15 years old, and it's like I'm still around. I've still been doing my stuff, and for the last almost year, I had been. My minor spoiler: I may or may not have lost the showcase title, but I had been for 330 days, basically just making that title like the number one priority on that show, and just bringing in as many people as I can, many opponents, and just making them look amazing for 15 to 20 minutes. And the list goes on. There are a lot of big names that I went up against, a lot of DKW guys, a lot of guys from outside DKW. And it was very much just a case of just trying to like make it big. So the DKW's won. WrestleForce, I've always been, ever since I was young, always been around WrestleForce. I've had some of my bigger matches there as well. Like when I was very young, like 16, I got to work Connor Mills. like 3 times in the space of 2 months. And this was like before prime mills, like the mills that we got today. This is way before them. But like even then, he was insane back then. So to get a match with him back then, that got more eyes on me than ever. I even got to work like Michael Oku before he became the big Michael Oku that we see today. I got to be able to work him years ago. Like I haven't been able to since, but like I've had all these matches with these guys who are like big names in the UK starting to make their way to the US now, back before it was all a big thing. So WrestleForce are a big one for me. I recently made my debut for Bring Me Pro Wrestling, which is a company based in Kent. And I was brought in and I got given a one-on-one match with a kid called Isaiah Jackson, who also is starting to make a big name for himself in the UK. He's also very young. I think he's from America, but now he resides in the UK and such, and has grown up in the UK. But we had a match, and again, everyone talked about it, and it was it was like the opening match of the show. And people loved it because it was like 2 guys who just like, you have mostly like high flying, and then you have another guy who's high flying but will probably spit in your face if you piss him off. You have them 2 together, and there you go. You got some kind of magic. I've also had matches. I had a storyline a couple years back with a kid called Kian Cameron, because one of the first things I was told when I came back to the wrestling scene was, by the way, you have a twin. Well, what do you mean I have a twin? You have a twin. There is a kid called Kian Cameron. He looks just like you. And I'm like, does he? Like, and I remember like being shown like YouTube comments of like his matches. And it's like, oh, look, Jaden Williams is back. And I'm like, that's a bit, is that not racist? I felt bad for Kian. He was only just new and young. And I'm like, he's now being compared to a kid who left wrestling. And the first time I got to see everyone again, like everyone started I was at a pub and everyone started pointing towards Kian. So my first time meeting Kian was straight up like, first I didn't even get to say hello to him, and everyone was like, yo, you gotta do the Spider-Man pose with Kian. You gotta do the Spider-Man pose with Kian. That's my first ever interaction with the kid, and it was just, so we hadn't even said hello to each other yet. We don't know who we are, but we're being told, okay, point at each other. And everyone's just like with their phones out recording, like looking, oh my God, this happened. Because that was one of the biggest things that people wanted to see. And then we got to start wrestling matches against each other at WrestleForce. We had a storyline where we became tag team champions. And then his tag team partner, who was training in the US, came back and so betrayed me. But then I got angry and I betrayed him because I was like, right, we became tag team champs, but you miss your best friend. How dare you? We're going to lose the tag titles. So then that created another match, and then me and him got to wrestle again. And he's one of my favorite guys to wrestle because it's literally like the chemistry that I have with someone, because we're both very similar. And some reason we have strange coincidences of getting gear made that looks the exact same every single time. We don't mean to, but it's just, if I have cool camo gear, he's also got cool camo gear. If I have like a particular color scheme, he has the same color scheme. And we're trying to stop doing that, but we just keep bumping into each other somehow. But I'd say he was one of my most notable opponents since I've come back, because it's like, oh, look, it's Twin Magic. Them two, just like, look at them. They're the same person. And I'm like, we're not. We're not. But it's fun. Like, it's like, that was one of the more notable things. But I feel like there has been stuff like that. And most recently, I wrestled Reagan Blade again yesterday and lost my title to him. And who, again, like, I think he recently made his debut for Ignite, and he's slowly starting to climb his way up the ladder. And it's like, we wrestled like a few months before at the last like DKW show at the same venue, and people loved it. Like, his whole family was screaming for him to win. And then they were groaning and disappointed when they had to see me with my hand raised in the title. So I just remember just like yesterday, even though I lost, the scream that was deafening my ear from his entire family, it did put a little smile on my face, because I'm like, you know what?
Yes.
I lost, but look, there are people who are proud that I'm lost, and like, you lost, fuck you. And
I lost, but I got you.
Yeah.
Like, that's that moment. You had him in your hand. Real quick, I want to go over to YouTube. Kid WrestleForce came in. It's WrestleForce 1, excuse me. Yes, Jaden. Also said it was a pleasure being a cameraman for you yesterday. In regards to the Spider-Man, says that fair play when you guys did that. And your match yesterday, in regards to that, it was an insane match. Best support ever. Thank you, Kid WrestleForce 1. Glad you were here, my man. And obviously, Jaden throwing you some praises. He worked the camera for you. I'm sure you found him.
I noticed who he was. I kind of noticed who he was. I never spoke to him, so I'm sorry about that. But like, I just remember because I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but there was two cameramen. There was two cameramen, but one of them is a relative to Reagan Blade. And the thing is, he was meant to be on camera for that match, but he actually just wanted to watch the match as a fan. So he got out of doing the camera work for our match because he really just wanted to watch it as a wrestling fan. He didn't want to be on camera. He wanted to enjoy it with his friends and family. So then when I came out, I did my entrance, and I see someone else on the camera. I'm like, you're not. Who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? I'm like, for a moment, I'm like, what do you say? The same person? Because then I realized, yeah, like literally, there is someone who I've invested, like someone I'm just simply here to wrestle a match. But considering the story, it was enough to basically get a cameraman to be like, no, I want to watch this. I don't want to be recording. I want to watch. And that to me is enough to say, you know what, my job is done. Because I also like to build stuff up with promos. Because if I get a chance to record a promo, I'm recording a promo because it's fun. If I feel like a match needs a promo, it needs that little extra fire, like as if the announcement wasn't enough, then I'm going to record something and I'm going to make sure that everyone's paying attention. And I'll record it in such a crazy way that you'll remember it. So I recorded a promo for this one. And this one I recorded in my work, where I work in a theatre. But the theatre I work at used to be a church, and they keep the church windows, which we kind of like shut occasionally. So I was like, I'm just going to open one of them. I'm going to record like just sitting by a church window. And I guess from the looks of it, it looks really like cryptic. But it really is just like, that's what I wanted. I wanted it to look like really like eerie, but also like, oh, this seems like I got to pay attention because that doesn't look like anything I normally see. And it's just stuff like that makes me think, okay, cool. I know what I'm doing. So yeah.
Absolutely, man. I love that. I love the fact that that again, when a story is told right and it has enough power, it will draw people off just to see it, just to watch it, and to know that he had a family member that was like, nope, I'm gonna turn this over to you, and I'm gonna go sit my ass right there and watch this thing play out. That is another feeling, man. It really is. And as we start to wind things down, I got several questions that I do want to ask you. First of all, just these initial conversations are surface scratchers. It's really for me to get some education that I don't have, and also for you to kind of learn a little bit about us, because we don't do anything short term here. We're about building long-term relationships and helping where we can. Now, with that being said, first question I've got for you is really about the rest of 2026. You just had a championship run come to an end. That story was fantastic, obviously, from what I'm hearing. What's on your radar for the rest of 2026? What are you looking to get out there and get accomplished?
I mean, after losing the title, it's weird because I don't really I'm like, okay, well, I've just had a run for almost a year. Where do I go from here? And it's like, obviously, the road doesn't end here. There's plenty of places I can go. And there's obviously, there's still half the year left. And admittedly, funnily enough, this is the first, how do I put this? Since coming back, this is the first time I've been working shows throughout the first half of the year. So when I came back in 2024, I came back in June, and then I did till December. 2025, I took 5 months off because I had to do my final year of uni, and I wanted to make sure I didn't go and do my acting shows with a broken neck. So I made sure to finish my acting and then go back to wrestling. So I came back in June. But this is the first year since where I've actually just gone from January to June, and I've actually just kept going as much as I can. So now I'm like, okay, well, what the fuck do I do for this half then? Because I've done my half. I'm like, shit. So for me, I'm just, I'm all around, and it's just looking for more places to kind of take me in. And it's admittedly, it's difficult because I'm also in the midst of learning to drive. Because one thing I learned in America, you need to fucking drive. Because when I was training at Pro Wrestling Revolution, within the first like 2 sessions, the promoter, he was like, "Yeah, okay, you're coming to ring crew, right?" I'm like, "Yeah. I can cover ring crew." So okay, we're going to Santa Rosa. I'm like, "Okay, cool." I don't know where Santa Rosa is. I'd never heard of it before. Then I found out it was 90 miles away from where I was staying. I'm like, 90 fucking miles. That's a long way. Well, I'm like, what? How are we getting there? Oh, it's okay. So someone's going to come pick you up at 5:30. What? 5:30? I'm meant to be asleep. And I was like, yeah, 5:30. You got to be there at 8. What? And I was just so that day I woke up 5:30. I had an Uber come pick me up, an hour and a half one way, and then get dropped off and get picked up from that destination and driven the next hour and a half to Santa Rosa. There 8:30 in the morning. I got sunburned because it was boiling hot in California. I think it's Northern California, Santa Rosa, if I'm not wrong. And blistering in the heat. I wasn't wrestling. I was merely like ring crew, so I was just really just being security because it was a beer festival, and I was told I had to basically be security, like proper, like, hands to my side, just kind of like standing there to make sure none of the drunks try and get in the ring and try to scrap. I'm like, okay, cool, sounds pretty easy, right? But obviously I was quite small, and I fairly am compared to like the Americans who are drinking. I'm like, okay, cool, you ain't getting past me, kind of thing. And then again, like that went on the whole day, so I didn't get back home till about like 2 a.m. So I basically had spent like 21 hours sort of just out wrestling, and all of that wouldn't have been as possible if I wasn't with someone who knew how to drive. So obviously, I'm not going to be on shows with everyone that knows how to drive. So then that's where I need to learn to drive. So currently, that's sort of the main thing that can hopefully get me through the second half of the year. Otherwise, I believe there are a lot of places within my area that will basically take me in. I have a lot of promotions around. Like there's a Mighty Pro Wrestling who are basically down the road to me, DKW Wrestle Force, UKPW. They got a lot of shows going around the UK. There was Purpose as well. Purpose was around, but then I believe they rebranded or something. I'm not too sure. Ignite, of course. I'm looking forward to going back there soon. But there's a lot of places that I already have like in my hands that I'm sure would be willing to bring me back in. Otherwise, it's just a job for me to basically just search and be like, guess what? There is something that you're missing. Me. Bring me in. And I assure you, you're going to see something that you probably haven't seen in a while, or if ever. And that's just simply what I got to do. Make sure I can convince people via message that I am exactly what they're looking for.
Well, let's see what we can do to be a little helpful. Like I said, the first piece of this conversation, we usually don't go 90 minutes. I do apologize for that too. But it's for me to learn more about you and learn about what you're doing and what you want to do. And reality is this is these questions here I ask everybody who comes in because I'm a firm believer of manifestation, and I know how powerful the platform is. So when you talk about companies that are out there that you want to try and work for, you want to try and get to, bear in mind, and not to be right now, be after you get your license and you start driving, or you know what, partner up and hit the road. What are some companies out there that are on your radar that maybe you haven't gotten to, or you have, but you just said you want to go back to, but just, some of those out there that if you could get that toe in the water, where would they be?
I think in terms of, we'll look at UK first because there's definitely more than UK. I think the most recent place I went to via travel was Wrestling Resurgence.
Mm-hmm.
They're amazing, like theatrical, like they're in a theater, a really nice theater in Leicester, and they put on some of the most amazing wrestling for 3 hours, and you have some of the bigger names in the UK, but then they also bring in up and coming stars in the UK as well. They recently brought in Denzel Mack, who is definitely one of the best up and comers I've seen in a long time, and they put him on. So I traveled up with him, and it was a very long day, but it was really, really fun to actually see. And I got in touch with the resurgence as well. I was like, I'd love to come on down, help out, and they just said, yeah, pop on down, come help out, and it's literally just, it was fun there. So I really wanted to try and go there. There's also TNT, who also, they witnessed the triple threat match to Ignite, and they took in 2 of the 3 wrestlers from that match and took them on to become stars at TNT. And I just thought, what can one more do? One more won't hurt, will it? But I see them bringing in stars as well who are a lot local to my area. So that's always a place I'd like to see. I'd like to try and get my head across to as well. I know they're like really far away up in Liverpool, but like somehow I'd like to try and make it work again. This is where the car comes in. We're hoping the car comes in at some point. They're the main 2, I believe, in the UK that are probably accessible. I mean, there's a new promotion opened up called Renegade. I'm not too sure who's behind Renegade, but I believe, if they do have familiarities with Purpose Wrestling, then my name is definitely on that radar also, since I was also there. And I also had a match. I had a good few matches on Purpose. I had one at a Pride show for Pride Month last year against Isaac Murray. I had one on Roy Johnson's Everything Patterned. It was a scramble match, which I won. And then I also got to wrestle on one of their main shows called Typical Story, where I got to wrestle TK Cooper, which is a match I've always wanted since I was like 15. I watched him when I was like at a show in Bournemouth, and I watched him in a singles match. I'm like, this guy's amazing.
Headbutt motherfucking Messiah. Let's go.
I told him directly after. I'm like, man, I gotta be real with you. I remember watching you when I was 15 years old. I've always wanted this match, and it was the best. And it was only like a small 8-10 minute match. It was brilliant. I loved it. I still haven't seen the full match since. I've only seen like little clips of it, and I'm like, I need to see the full thing. I don't know with where Purpose has gone. I'm like, am I going to see it? I don't know. But like, just knowing that match has happened is really fun for me. It was really enjoyable. But I'd like to see if Renegade could bring me in. And talking of TK, yeah, I know. I think he is behind Colossus, Pro Wrestling Colossus.
Yep, he's one of the ones behind it. We have a really good relationship with him.
So I hope he is listening. I don't know if he's listening, but TK Cooper, look, I mean, I just you remember me, right? Like the thing is, I think a lot of good people at Colossus as well, who are quite local and people that I see on shows regularly. So I would like to try and come down to Colossus, and I think that they're very familiar with me as well, because they've got people who know me quite well, like. You got David Francisco, who's quite familiar with me and has known me since I was 15 and stubborn. So he's seen me grow. I think he's probably one of the best people to ask if I've grown or not. Probably. Yeah, he'll probably say yes. He'll probably say no. I don't know. But he's usually quite helping hand in terms of that. I think they're the main one. These are the main ones that come to my head.
Sure.
There's also United as well. United Wrestling. I think they got a show coming up very soon. I'd like to pop down and see them. I think they're based in like Oxford and Reading. I think I'd like to try and pop down. But in the UK, that's the UK. France, I know CACC. I've been suggested to go over there and check them out, and I'm like, I don't know who to talk to. That's one. But then also we look at America, because I'd love to come back to America and do something more than just a battle royal, because I'd love to.
I'm gonna tell you this, Jaden. If you set up an excursion to come over here, you let me know as far in advance as you can, and where you're gonna be and what area you're gonna be in, and I will do some legwork. We have a lot of fantastic relationships over here, and to be fair, I'm based in Florida, which is a hotbed. And California, obviously, we've got a lot of really good connections with. Texas, we've got a lot. Every major state that has professional wrestling involved in it on the independent scene, we've got foot in the doors. So you come over this way, you just tell me what that looks like, what's the dates that you're going to be here, and I will do some of that work for you, because it's super simple to me. That's the beautiful thing about this in our platform. It's because all it takes is a DM for me. Hey, we've got a guy, Shreddy. was over here several months ago. Not Mania weekend or Mania week, but the trip before that. And was doing some stuff. He had some dates that were open that weren't filled. And we helped him fill them in Florida and got him onto a couple of shows. And I know that one of the shows that we got him on brought him back for Mania weekend or Mania week when he was out here. He got on with them again. So it's about opening those doors for you guys internationally, specifically. Like our platform started internationally. So I have a more prone of a bigger heart to help guys succeed that are coming over here, you know, versus those that are not, and vice versa. If we have guys that want to go overseas, we hit up our affiliates and our friends overseas and try and do the same shit. We've been able to make some things happen. So America, you don't really have to worry about, but I do want to know what some of the companies are that you've got your eye on over here.
So, I mean, I know the company that you work with. I believe that would be one of them because I think that was our very first interaction. I got randomly mentioned in a post from, is it Exhibitionist Wrestling or Exhibition Wrestling? Begins with E. Establishment Wrestling.
Establishment. Yes.
That's it. Yes. Establishment Wrestling. And because I remember getting a tag from Establishment Wrestling. I'm like, it's like, oh yeah, making his debut, Jaden. I'm like, am I?
Nope, I tagged the wrong fucking Jaden. Yeah. That's what it
was.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I mean, poor soul, poor Jaden over here is getting the wrong mention. He's getting like a UK mention here. And I'm like, okay. So there's definitely Establishment Wrestling. That would be one. California, again, to go back to the Pro Wrestling Revolution, I'm in talks with the guys over there all the time. We always keep in touch. Because I made really good connections with the people who helped me get to and from the training school and to and from the wrestling shows. So we've always been trying to like tease each other, like, oh, let's come back. Oh yeah, if you make it here, then there. Yeah, you know, we're always trying to like tease each other, like to go to one part or the other. And then there's also West Coast Pro Wrestling, which I hear big things about. The like I think that school was very near as well to where I was staying, but like I think the difference was. They were in San Francisco and I was in San Jose. So if I were to go there, it would be an extra hour and extra money of travel, which I did not have a lot of when I was in California. But I think West Coast as well, because I knew a good few people there. I actually remember, I don't know what his current name is now because WWE took him in and changed it. But Starboy Charlie, me and him used to chat when we were younger, like when we like both started out, like, you know, he was young on the scene and I was young on the scene. We used to like keep in touch and message and stuff. So like the moment I came back, he just simply followed back and he's like, hey man, like, you know, we just like talk occasionally. It's like, yo, look, you're doing bits. Like, what's going on here? You know, he's risen so quickly, and it's just like we've always thought like one day like wrestle each other. But now he's been taken by WWE, so it'll be a bit of a climb till then. But if he pops down to West Coast and I happen to be at West Coast. And that'd be wicked in my mind. And I do know other people as well, like some of the trainees from West Coast as well, who I knew from the other wrestling school. So there's links there that I'd like to. I think it make it easier for me to travel back there in terms of like accommodation, hopefully. But in terms of like those are the main like promotions I know of in America. Because again, there's compared to the UK scene. I couldn't even imagine how many promotions are in America. Hell, even starting in America. Like, there's probably a promotion going to be starting next week somewhere in one of the 50 states in America. Like, it's you. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
I get it. We did not. So our live event was just going to be a one-time thing, and it. You know, when it happened, and I just did it so I could send it to affiliates to see, because my vision's bigger. I have a bigger plan for what we're trying to do, and I'm a firm believer that if we all work together, we can build something pretty fucking special, and do it in a way that gives everybody opportunities to be seen. Because what we have found out across our platform is you don't know who's watching, when they're watching, or how they're watching. They're watching. That's what I can tell you. Like there are people connected to the major companies that watch what we do. When I book people on our shows, I book them specifically, and I select a handful that I know will, if they're seen, it's going to do some things, and it already has started to do that. So you get back this way, you just let me know, and I'll start hitting some people up too, especially if you're going to go out to California, because that's a no brainer. There's several spots within. I mean, it'll probably be a hoof, but they're doable. There's 5 or 6 companies right now that I would just say, hey man, look at this, and then he'll be here in 3 months. So let's start working some stuff out so we can get him some work. And it's that simple. It really is. So with companies, there comes opponents. Who are some people that are out there that you want to mix it up with, think you can have a really good match with?
Oh, this is going to be a good one. I mean, I got to really think here, but I think obviously we're talking back in California, Starboy Charlie. Look, like we know each other. We've known each other for at least like 8 years. Like we've been aware of each other for 8 years, and there was literally a moment where we were only like an hour apart from each other, like only 2 years ago, but we just never realized. So if there ever was a chance, I think that would be the number one name, especially internationally. But then if I was to also look at like where I went to train, one of the main names who I'd like to go up against is luchador called Kid Lynx, who is a Lynx. Lynx, a Lynx. And the most athletic luchador I've ever seen. Getting to train with him as well, extremely athletic, and he loves like we both also had very similar starts in wrestling, how we kind of came across it and how we tried to watch it growing up as kids. We both have very similar stories on how we did that. And we always message each other constantly, just saying, please, man, come over. Like, please, we want to try and like wrestle each other one day. So he's a big name because I think we'd just both be very happy and it'd be great. I don't think I've ever wrestled a luchador either, actually. I don't think I've ever actually like gone up against a masked wrestler. I don't think I have. I don't genuinely. That's something I've never realized until now. I don't think there's actually been like a masked wrestler I've gone up against. It's always been like people, we know who we are. Even myself, like I never went under a mask, even as young as I was, which I probably, again, like at the time it was bad, but it's like, it was already happening. I had quite an old face when I was 15, so I could get away with it, I guess. But yeah, no, literally. So luchador, and then also at that same school, El Viento. Viento, I believe, was the top guy when I was there, and I believe he still is top guy. When I saw him, I also found out that he was going to be making his New Japan debut, which he did. And he did amazing at. So they're just 3 names in just one state alone who I'd like to face. I'm not too familiar with a lot of the other talent in the US. Again, the list is endless. Like I'd be here forever trying to list names in the US, but in terms of UK, I think one of the main names I'll look at, there's a wrestler called Najay who he resides. He's mostly on TNT. Me and him have had like an altercation once at Everything Patent, and we both very much have like a similarity in terms of how we present ourselves. He's very much into like Sega gaming, and I'm the Swift Sonic. So there's that moment where we can just kind of see who's more of a fan. It probably is him. But just to have that interaction, just to be like, let's see if we can square up, see who is the better one between us two. So he's definitely a name up there because he's just brilliant. And I think if I had to put one more, just so this list doesn't go too blooming long, I shouldn't make it generic. I'm not going to make it generic, but I'll say Michael Oku because last time we wrestled, we were two completely different beings. Straight up, like I was a very underdog good guy, and he was very much slowly in the progression of becoming one of the best wrestlers in the UK. But now we're in 2 completely different elements now, and it just feels right just to have another clash, just for old time's sake, and also just to see how far we come is not even a question. It's just how far will we go after. And the sky's the limit for Michael Oku. I said this to Adam. I was like, I know he's got a contract coming very soon. I can feel it. But I don't know. I don't speak to him enough to know for certain. But yeah, Michael Oku.
Well, I love all the names, especially there are some out there that I'm not familiar with, but that's what a piece of kid in a candy store with these conversations, because when I hear new names, I fucking want to go and look them up. I want to see what it's about, and it's the beautiful thing about the platform. And the last question I got for you, and we'll wrap things up, is, and it's really beneficial for the platform. You know, we started real shit. I got stoned and threw a dart at the map when someone said independent wrestling and doing a platform on indie wrestling was stupid. It landed in Australia. We found a random company, a random show, and started watching. We haven't turned back. We've been on every continent. We've watched promotions on every continent. We have affiliates on every continent. The one goal is finding those guys and those girls that you should be watching. Who are some people, according to you, that you feel like we should be watching?
There is one in particular. The first one, right off the top, is a wrestler called Big O. He's mainly been a mainstay at DKW, and he basically is like I call him Osina because he is the British champion, which is basically the number one title at DKW. But the thing is that he just hasn't had the network like that I've been privileged to be able to have. Like, he's very much been a mainstay at this one promotion, and to see him go anywhere else makes me smile, because I've known him for a very, very long time, and it's just like, when I came back, he was one of the first people I saw, and we had one singles match last year where we just went all out and did everything possible. It was for his title, but we did everything possible, and it was an easy match of the year candidate, and people loved it. And it made people realize as well in that moment that, Big O can actually go, because I'm quite an intense wrestler, I'd say. Like, I go all out and I try and do crazy stuff. So if someone can match me, then it clearly shows a clear indicator, like, this guy's just as good as Jaden and can go. But it's just, he just needs that, just that attention for someone to just take him in more than just like the networks he has, and just to reach out and just go and make something big, because he can do stuff. And I think he's there. He's literally there. Like, there's something that's going to happen, and I really hope one day, that switch flicks just like it did for me, and more people turn on to the fact that, this guy's good. So he's named number one, Big O. Currently, I don't know what his at is. Probably the Big O. Probably, I think that's probably his at.
I will find it.
British champ. I'm gonna say AJ Payne as well. He's very new onto the scene. He also recently made an Ignite debut. He had a stellar matchup against Spike Trevay at his training school's first show, Cobra Wrestling, which is run by Sky Smithson. So as Sky Smithson's trainee, he is shown that he is one of the best up and comers there is, and in such short time as well, and picking up a win as well over Spike Trevay in that match is incredible. And he's just incredible. Like, he just loves wrestling. Like, I watched this guy cry after winning against Spike Trevay, and I'm like, I felt emotional in that moment, because I'm like, this makes me like wrestling. Like, seeing real emotion. You can tell there's no acting here. There's not theatrics, right? And I know he doesn't do theatrics. He doesn't like acting, but I'm like, this is wrestling here. This is what felt to me. This hit me. I was like, he loves this. He loves this game. He's definitely a name that definitely needs some love. I'll say Kian Cameron. Of course, I got to mention twin. Got to mention my twin, Kian Cameron. If you do bring him on, you'll notice we do look a little alike. But I don't know. I mean, you'll notice the differences as well. But from a glance, you'll be like, oh shit, Jaden. Oh no, it's Kian. That's kind of how it is, right? But he's a real chill guy, and I miss getting to like scrap with him every single show. Like every single time we used to always put on good. We never had a bad match. Never. It's always been good. It's always been fun, and because we're so similar, it's so easy. I love getting to just wrestle him and just come up with silly ideas like, oh, what can we do here? What can we do here? How can we make this? You know, it's just making stuff like more fun. And I miss him. I haven't seen him since. I think I saw him like a month ago, but it's been too long, a month too long without Twin. I'll say final name just because of recency bias. I'm gonna say Reagan Blade because obviously this motherfucker beat me for my fucking belt. He's now the champ. I'm not, so I will definitely because he's really really good and he's also really young and he's really humble. He's a genuine guy. He's just really chill and like he loves wrestling, but he also like likes the fun of it. You know, with some wrestlers, people like they live and breathe wrestling, but then some they enjoy the fun and the entertainment of it, and that's what he enjoys. He enjoys the fun and just like being in the moment, sort of thing. And he's so athletic, which like I tried to copy his like he has like a really cool like bouncing springboard cutter he does, and I wonder if I can try and steal your move. It took me ages to nail, and I was like, I hope I can hit this. And then like it took me ages to get it right, and I'm like, I think I can do it. But the fact that he just has this like arsenal of moves, which to the untrained eye, you'd think, oh, that's easy. And then you go out there and try it, and you're like, oh shit, it's actually quite difficult. Genuinely, it's incredible. Like even for someone like me, I was genuinely struggling for a good couple days. But yeah, absolutely, Reagan Blade is the final name. Of I've definitely mentioned 4 names, yeah, but Reagan Blade, he's definitely like yeah, he's got something there as well. And he also made
I love hearing it. I love hearing the names. Some of them I'm aware of, some of them I'm not. Those that I'm not, I get familiar with, and I get familiar with them quickly. Jaden, man, it has been an absolute pleasure to sit down and I didn't mean to go 2 hours. We're almost there, but it has been such a great conversation to have with you. And before we close things out, man, I turn it over to our guests. Is there anything that you want to plug? Anything that you want to talk about that we didn't talk about? Anything at all, man? The floor is absolutely yours.
Do I want to plug anything? I'll just plug. I'm going to plug the UK scene. You know, I'd say, arguably, we're back. I think one thing I noticed recently is like, even though WWE has pissed me off, NXT is fucking cooking because they're bringing in UK names. In one show alone, we got Lizzie Rain, who's fucking amazing. We got Tristan Angels, who I've got to wrestle. He's fucking amazing. And we got Mason Rook in 1 week. Like basically, the UK's just taken over. And then we also had the tryouts with some of the biggest names in the UK as well. You know, shout out Tommy Tanner and Sapphire Reed, 2 names who I'm very familiar with. Mm-hmm. Like we're watching the UK scene basically blow up right in front of us, and it's just incredible. Just to I feel we've had our shout out like 10 years ago. I'm running it back. We're gonna run it back because it's straight up like even though we had that little bit of a hiccup a few years back, we're at a point now where we're different and it's improved and everything's a little more enjoyable. And now I feel with the newer talent that we're getting and the fact that everyone is so unique in their own way, I feel the UK just needs an overall shout out in itself. And so that will be the main shout out I can give.
I love it, man. I really do. Kid WrestleForce 1 says I was shocked when he saw Tristan as well, or when they saw Tristan pop up on NXT. And you're 100% correct, man. There's a lot of things that are happening, and there's a lot of moving parts. And a big piece of what we do is staying in tune and staying with our fingers on the pulse on every continent because there's so much tremendous talent out there, and we want to talk to all of them. We want to get there, and we want to do things and help you guys. At the end of the day, that's why we're here. And the easiest way that you can help guys and you can show your support is by like, sharing, and subscribing. It's free. It doesn't cost you a fucking penny. All you got to do is head over to Instagram, look up Jaden __ PW for Pro Wrestler. It's been on the screen the entire show. If you have not went over and smashed the follow button, shame on you. Go and do it now. Get it out of the way. What we have found is that, again, you don't know who's watching, when they're watching, or how they're watching, but they are watching. So if you follow and share the content, you never know who's going to see it and what that may do. It has moved mountains before, and it can move mountains again. If you're not following us at CCP Podcasting on Instagram, shame on fucking you, because we are literally everywhere. We're on every continent. We're doing a lot of tremendous things for the independent scene. We bring you live podcast and watch parties and all kinds of fun shit every day. And you can find all of our content over on YouTube at CCP Podcasting. If you're in Orlando, July the 11th, Chapter 6, Built on Business, Mims defends our heavyweight championship against Baracco. You can get your tickets at ccppodcasting.com. For my guest today, Mr. Jaden Williams, I am Chris Page. We will see you next time.